leader and friend. My endless partner in nightly tea parties. He would light up on the side of his children, and he grew the chance of helping someone else. People have already alluded to his selfless spirit and the way that he was always so willing to give. He created his charity for that reason. We are blessed to try to continue to carry up that mantle. He became veritably almost combustible, even had the chance to serve and keep safe his beloved Nigeria through his expertise and knowledge. And we all know that if he was still here in person, there'd be at least 20 more books, a million more interviews, a million more helpful and passionate interviews, and over 100 different implementations to make our Nigeria that much safer. So on the anniversary of what would have been his 70th birthday for my incomparable father, I recognize that at 66, he already superseded the qualities and features reserved for the 70-year-old. He was a man beyond his years, and in my estimation, he lived beyond his years. And as much as I would have loved to hold his hand today, to behold his smile, to touch his face, to be heard all across the room and through walls, I would have loved to hear his voice. I still celebrate knowing how to live and love. I know that he's here still in each of our hearts. And now in his presence, not by obligation, but because of the immense the man that he was and is, we will rise. I will rise. We will rise to all that his heart hoped for us.
Thank you, Dr. Moni. I appreciate you. We love you. Everybody is happy that you're taking time to speak to us today. Thank you so much. All she's saying, eulogizing the father, letting us know that the father was there for her. Are you there for your children? Are you there for your family? In fact, that's the part that touched me. The father was there for her all through till he passed. Are you there for your children? Are you there for your family? That's a lesson to the land. I'm not a preacher, sir. While the Omoni's speech was going on, an important guest coming, a lecturer. Is it St. Christopher's University, am I right? I've met her in several forums, an award winner, a security expert, an entrepreneur. Ladies and gentlemen, put your hands together and welcome Johnson Buluka. Ms. Buluka and Dr. Ona on several occasions. See them discuss professional, things that have to lift the security industry up. I've met them on several forums, and each time I listen to two of them, I get an insight. And those are things that help build me up today as a security person. You're most welcome. Okay, the job is made simpler. There's just only one person I can call now who will tell us briefly reason. Dr. Ona must have imparted you, but there's somebody who, they say there are brothers who's friends who's closer than a brother. Okay, thank you. I'm being corrected or directed. All right. Now that we have from Ona Junior, we also have from Dr. Moni. I think the next thing we do, we should also hear from the lady who is with us here. This is what we call live and direct. Mrs. Edowaye Adaba. Please, ma'am. I will just hear one or two things about that. Thank you.
Thank you again.
Yes.
So on behalf of my husband and I, because I no longer speak for one, but I speak for two, I'm grateful grateful to even be able to give tribute and to have been the daughter of such a legendary man. It's, I think I was laughing when he said, some people will go to the grave of their father and be cursing their father, but when I think of the intangible legacy that he left with me, I wanted to just share 6 lessons I learned from him. My father was a party person. He loved a good party. He loved to celebrate us, celebrate people around. I remember even before the lockdowns happened, he was trying to have a good birthday party just because he wanted to celebrate. He wanted cake. It was his 61st, and he really wanted to just be around people, and he really got his energy when he had a good party. He had people around. So even when we go home for at the end of the year for Christmas and New Year, he wanted to have a party for the kids in the village. He just got a rise out of seeing them having such a good time and being able to come out and just enjoy that present. So I'm sure he's looking down in heaven and just grateful to see that we've kept his legacy of a good party around. I know growing up, one of the things I always remember was every birthday I'll come to the office, they're cutting cake, there was food. He was just always very excited to celebrate a good birthday, and he was someone who just celebrated people in general, and that was his heart. He wasn't a perfect man, but he always believed in celebrating people. I remember even growing up, in fact, I was giving my husband a tough challenge because he used to give me Valentine's card and presents every year. So I'm like, if my brother could give me. So, but it's just the nature of who he is. Pressure, no pressure. But I think that was just who he was, and he wasn't someone who was too full of himself. I mean, he achieved so much. I mean, he was able to create an ecosystem of an industry around him. I don't know how many people do that. People will maybe come and build on something small, but he was able to see a vision for something and build such a strong ecosystem around it and became such a mentor to so many people. Even till today, I go out in my place of work and I meet people and they're like, oh, you're this daughter of, oh, he was my friend, he was my, he was my mentor, he was this, he was that. So just such a great impact and such a widespread impact on so many people. I mean, I don't know how in one life someone is able to do so much. I mean, I think a lot of people in 3 lifetimes, I don't even know if they're able to do that much. But I think one is really stay humble. I think 2 is endless learning. I remember during the pandemic, one of the things that happened was Zoom became very popular. And some people will say, an old dog can't learn new tricks, and they will just resign to whatever, they think they know. But he sat me down, he said, he brought out his pen and paper, and he was like, okay, this Zoom thing, how do we do it? We did dry run, he will call me, he said, I can hear you now, I can hear, I will call him from my room, I'll say, oh, can you hear me now? I said, oh, this is how we're going to, drive the school and make sure that people we digitize the school. So he always was somebody that wasn't willing to say he knew it all. He was always willing to learn from anybody. He would learn from a guy, he would learn from just a mama put in the corner. He wanted to learn. He was such an amazing sponge, and I think even as we think of our lives, are we endless learners, or do we get to a point where we think we've made it and we don't need, to continue to learn? So I think that was a part of who he was. I think he was just someone who was of service, I think, to his community, to his siblings. Like, anytime you had an issue, he was the person to call, and he would always come up with something. It wasn't like he always knew the right answer, but he would always try and work through it with you. And so I felt very privileged, even when he would call me sometimes, I want to work through things with him. He called me a strategist, so he would always call me and ask me questions. But just to be around somebody like that, who's important to governors, to presidents, to the most important, to the who is who of society, people really saw him as such a pillar. And how do you continue to be that person? Like, one of the first books he asked me to read, and I really hated to read. Funny enough, my husband loves to read as well, so he passed me on to somebody. But one of the first books he made me read was The Servant Leader, and I was like, what do I have to do with this book? Like, leave me alone. And he asked me to write a summary for him, so I couldn't even bobo him and finish the book. But he asked me to read that book because that was an embodiment of who he I mean, there were parts of it that he had only been able to take on, but he kept working on himself and trying to see and aspiring to get to that point of servant leadership. And I thought it was beautiful because that's really who Jesus was, right? If we think of who Jesus really was. So I felt like being of service was something, also being passionate about whatever it is you find yourself doing. I think anybody could have seen themselves in an area called security and be like, oh my God, this is for poor people, or people don't get paid properly, or he created a standard within an industry and was able to demand of life what he wanted of it, and he was able to speak to governors, he was able to become a pundit in that area. So if you're passionate, no matter what it is, you can be weaving baskets in a pool. Somebody will find it and find it interesting, and they'll be able to pay you what you demand of it. But I really feel like he created such an ecosystem, and people, he will tell me, I'm a glorified megado, but I'll laugh so hard because knowing all the things that he created within the space, and how he just kind of thought lightly of it, but given all the things that he was able to build, it was just so impressive. And then I think the last part is really, okay, the last two things is, one, being yourself. He was goofy, he could laugh, he could make a joke. Sometimes we call Boko Haram Bokites. And you're like, he said, exactly, he said they smoked them dead. I said, they killed people, you don't talk about them like that. But he always took things lightly. I mean, I'll tell him, oh, someone died. He said DED, dead. And I'm like, you can't joke about that. But he just never, like, he was goofy and he owned it. He loved that he could bring a different perspective to things, and he was just himself. And I think the last thing is taking, being selfish with your time. How are you investing your time? He was somebody, in fact, I remember he had a phone, and I didn't know this about the phone, but every time I was trying to make an international call with the phone, after 5 minutes, the phone would cut off. And I didn't understand it. And so I was like, there's something wrong with your phone. He said, what's wrong with my phone? I said that every time I'm talking to somebody, after 5 minutes, it cuts off. He said, because after 5 minutes, you started lying to me. You started lying. I had just seen jobless gist. So he's like, you need to protect your time. And so he'd actually set it up on his phone so that it would cut off. You give him back his phone. So he said, give back my phone. My phone is okay. I said stuff like that. And I was shocked, but it's who he was. He would spend a lot of time immersed in his work, but when it came to gist, he would chat with you. After 5 minutes, you could tell he was only getting restless. Okay, thank you, good speaking. This is even when I was in the US, and I was like, I've called my parents back home. He'll be like, okay, bye. Like, come, get off my phone, let me go back to work and do the things I love. But I appreciated that about him. So I'm happy to share these things. And of course, I'm sure so many people have so many more stories, but these were some of the cogent stories that I could really think of and remember. But he lives on in each and every one of us. I think even people that worked for him for years, like when I hear Felix talking about it, people carry pieces of him, even though we weren't family, we have been family because of how long we spent together. So I'm really, really grateful for just such a momentous occasion to celebrate the man that he was and the person we continue to be because he existed in this earth. So thank you.
Thank you. In fact, she said the guy used to call, even when it is so painful, you have the word putting it. Are you with me? Yes. So I remember I used to call it Edibo. I still remember Edibo. Edibo. I used to hear Oga pronounce that a lot when she comes to the office. So thank you so much, man, for paying that tribute to Dr. Ona Ekhomu. That shows Dr. Ona Ekhomu actually led his family. If she can come out to say so. I think I'm happy to be associated with Dr. Ona. It's something that touched me so much. Eddie, I'm glad. Inside me, I'm free, I'm fulfilled. I'm happy that I didn't make a mistake working with Dr. Ona. Thank you so much for that. Yes, Benny. Okay, Chief, is there any Benny online again? Am I right? Okay. While she's working on Benny, Dr. Ona's son, to also talk to us. Some people came in, and I want to quickly introduce them. Some important guests. We had here, while Eddie was speaking, we had Mrs. Gladys if also coming to the plate. I will give her a shout and a round of applause. Welcome, man. We also had Mrs. Ona coming. Please, can we give her one hand? Okay. Please, I will give her a round of applause. I meet me because I speak English most of the time. I know already. All right. So while that was also, a professional colleague came in. Ladies and gentlemen, put your hands together. Welcome, Mr. Dele Daniels. Say CPP. When is it? CPO, CPP. One of those who benefited from the Ona, one of those who were impacted by the Ona. Yeah. Please give me a round of applause. Also have, ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Afolabi Ajayi. Now, Mr. Speaker, can we give him a round of applause? Can we see him? Can we see him? That's good. You're welcome, sir. I won't forget, ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Oluwaseyi. So, can I say right? Mr. Oluwaseyi, give him a round of applause. Sheyi for sure. Thank you, Sheyi. Thank you for coming. I appreciate it. In fact, we're having a full house today. That goes a long way to show you. In fact, if you look at this hall, more than half of this hall are who other CPO or CPP. So, ladies and gentlemen, Eddie, thank you once more. Yes. So, Benny is online now. Please, can we hear Benny? I know he's hearing us. You guys, can you see the beers now? Yes.
Say happy birthday, Daddy. 30 years. I am ever reminded of his values in life and the sacrifices and the life he led. And, with my mom and our family, the joy, the laughter, the jokes, and the seriousness of the preciousness of life that he had and that he held throughout his life. I mean, till close to his final moments when he was still trying to, write and help others and create value for others and save lives. So, thank God for my father's life, Ona Ekhomu, and I'm grateful to be his son. I'm grateful to be here today and part of his legacy. I hope that his life is a testament to what one can do in caring for others and how far one can go with that deep innermost desire to save lives and help people, to motivate us all to try and follow in his footsteps in whichever ways we can. I send you all peace, love, and happiness. I wish you all the best, and happy birthday, Daddy in heaven. I have two fathers in heaven now, God and my Father. So, we are thankful for all that he's done for us and keeping us, and what he did with my father. And we lost him too soon. But at the same time, God's time was perfect. So, in the moral sense, it was too soon. But God knows best. Thank you for all celebrating his life. Have a beautiful celebration.
Thank you, Benny. Thank you. Thank you. So, welcome, sir. Happy to have you around, sir. God bless you. Ladies and gentlemen, we are getting to the climax of the occasion now. I told you before, somebody said, doctor told me we have a business to do together. So all of us said there's somebody that knows doctor better than all of us. Somebody who knows doctor from. Someone that know doctor more than the rest of us, from scratch, from beginning. They built together. They dig together and build together. The rest were born. Someone that got to know doctor. Perhaps when he was still wearing boxers, when he was still jumping, doing a lot of Dr. Ona is karate, what do you call it? Judo karate. Someone that knew when Dr. Ona started karate. Before he started security. Someone that knew him far better. Ladies and gentlemen, you see, when I'm a historian, and when you are writing story, you write a story, you get to a point, you say, this is the climax. Then there's origin of a story. So the stories we've been hearing before is the story of Dr. Ona at a stage, at a point. Ladies and gentlemen, we have opportunity and privilege to hear Dr. Ona's story from the scratch, from beginning. No other person is more qualified this afternoon than the person Dr. Ona got married to. How many years now? Close to, don't want to mention. Ladies and gentlemen, put your hands together and welcome Chief, Mrs. Ambassador, Dr. Mrs. Victoria Ekhomu.
Good afternoon, everybody. I'm in fact honored to have all of you present. I know if he was alive, he would have had a huge party, and a lot of people will be there. But you know, at times when people die, not too many people remember. But I knew I was talking to one of my daughters, and she said, I've not heard anybody do posthumous birthday. I said, we are doing it. He lived a great life. So, honor my dad. Happy 70th posthumous birthday. I said, while the angels are rejoicing over you, we are celebrating the great life you lived. You would have been 70 years today. I recall how you love a good party to celebrate milestones. Like the daughter said, it would have been a huge party. As we celebrate you today, remember the excellent footprints. Okay. I say you would have been 70 years today. I recall how you love a good party to celebrate milestones. As we celebrate you today, remember the excellent footprints you left in the sands of time. Your memory and huge vacuum are so great that they are difficult to fill. Honor my husband of about 40 years. We're about 40 years in marriage before he passed. You were a great husband, my soulmate, my best friend, my lover, my confidant, my cheerleader, my teacher, my boss. He was the chairman, I was the MD. It's not easy to work husband and wife. Very difficult. My boss. The father of my children. Like the vicar said, in fact, he gave me wings to fly. Not too many men can be in the same space and strive in the same space, holding volunteer positions in the same space. Not too many men will allow their wives to do that. I recall you hold a position and then I'll take over. I'm sure the people that are in the industry, you will be regional vice president. When he drops it, I'll become regional vice president. How many men? You understand what I'm saying? Then later, when he was regional vice president for some years, I think about 5 years, he said he's tired. He said he was resigning, he was dropping off. So that's when I became regional vice president. Before the role of senior regional vice president came up. So I now became the first senior regional vice president, and then African Advisory Council chairman. And in that advisory council chairman position, the committee, my husband was a member of the committee. So he said, Vicky, you are my boss now. You understand what I'm, how many men can really do that? Then before I became a board member in that sense. So he gave me the resources, and he supported me to just, to get to the zenith of the profession. And he was there for me. So you were a great Easter man, a great role model, an Iroko. You impacted so many lives, and you were a giver. For people who were close to him, they'll know that he was very generous. He was a giver. Ona, you were loved by the media. The media people, they love to, at times they'll just come and they'll be asking him questions. I'm like, who they won't tell you what they're going to talk about? They won't even give the other guys he's doing his head, And then so he could think on his feet, which is not very easy, to do. So he was loved by them, and I'm sure the media, they miss him. You were security expert par excellence. You were a global leader. He wasn't only a leader here. He wasn't only known here. He was known all over the world. When we go to assist and we are talking, it's not just attending. The top people are relating with him. All the presidents, they want him in their parties. They want him, to do things with him. And, so you were like a colossus who stood across the world. Everywhere you went, people gravitated towards you. When you entered any room and gave your unique smile, you lit it up across the globe. Your laughter was infectious. You were an astute learner, always striving and yearning for more knowledge. Like the daughter Eddie already said, ask her to teach him some things. So humility and ability to, be humble, to learn from whoever. Your laughter was infectious. You were, okay, I said that. Even in the hospital, you were reading and writing. In fact, the doctors told me they have not seen someone in intensive care and is reading and writing. So I'm like, should I tell him to stop? He said, no, leave him. Let him continue to do that. So an amazing human being. You authored several books like Effective Personal and Corporate Security, Kidnap, Face to Face with Death, Boko Haram, Security Considerations. He also co-authored several others. He wrote columns of Red Alert in The Punch and in This Day. He was a frequent guest on channels television, NTA, Arise, TV, AIT, CNBC, etc. He was a guest speaker at several ASIS International GSS. The other guy had a gun, the AK-47, and is shooting to his forehead, and he's able to take the guy on and survive. And so they wanted to know what some of the things that he did. So, so as a black belt karate, who trained policemen in Benin in his early years, in Denmark, South Carolina, then in his university days, and continued to train several survival and safety skills to many in his School of Management and Security and various training programs. Ona was a hero, a great Nigerian, a great American, a great man of valor. So Dr. Ona Ekhomu lived an extraordinary, and inspiring, and impactful life. He impacted so many people. So Ona was generous to a fault. He could give out his briefcase and utilize a paper bag to carry his things. He could give out his shoes and walk with his barefoot. He could give out all his money in an attempt to make another happy. So, though great and interacted with top dignitaries, Ona was very humble and would befriend even the lowest of the low. He didn't look down on anybody, he worked with everybody. That drove him to bring security certification to the shores of Africa. Since he held the first certified professional security from ACCESS, and also represented IFPO by bringing CPO. He used to hate to see Nigerians be at the gatehouse. Meanwhile, they were flying white people in as advisors. Some of them, maybe they just had a stint in the military, and they retired, they come here and they be bossing everybody. But Nigerians were all of them at the gatehouse. Nobody was rising. And this became a means. The certification, we saw it as a means. Because we used to discuss and say, I hate to see this. And he brought the CPP, was the first to be certified to be a CPP in this shores. And then he now brought CPO. And with that, lives have been transformed. I know the head of security of First Bank, when he first spoke, he talked about how his life transformed when he encountered Dr. Ona Ekhomu. So this opened the doors to many security professionals who have earned their security certifications and ushered them into the boardroom and executive suites. From the security gate houses. So his writings in different platforms enlighten Nigerians about security. Like he wrote, like I said, he used to write Red Alert in Punch and then This Day. And he used to write a lot of feature articles. And a lot of people will see him and stop him and say, they didn't know that security was so broad. And you know, him having PhD in management, now taking on the security profession, he could take it and turn it and let people see what it could be. And that it covered, it was all encompassing. Because they used to just look down on security. And before then, you know, at times you look at it that security maybe is for the dropouts, and it was like a stepping stone to other things, not a career. But he changed that. So this, with his TV appearances, where he spoke on different topics, got our Nigerian citizens to appreciate security. So as a wife, he was the best husband I could ever pray for. As it was a privilege to be his life partner. Ona taught me how to love. As he was a lover. I thank God that I had the opportunity to experience true love in my lifetime, as not many are opportune to marry the love of their life, which he was. I recall he used to call me, "Oh, love of my life." So, you know, when you love someone, the person loves you back. It's not very common, you know, to have that. So I thank God for that opportunity. So, Ona was a great father to his children, as he was a great provider. and found time to play and crack jokes with us, as he was a great comedian. We heard him. As I would say, retartate things. If he's here now, everybody will be cracking, turn it into a joke. He'll be saying something very serious, but he also turn it into a joke. So with Ona, there was never a dull moment. He loved his siblings and was generous to them. He was a family man. He was also a workaholic. He loved to work for those who worked close to him. So he was a man of many parts. So I miss him greatly. The children miss him greatly too. When he passed, I wondered how I would continue. But with the great love we shared and the bonds we had and his passion for our business, I vowed to retain and grow our business and to keep his legacy alive while nurturing and guiding our children to excellence and also managing the business and their chosen careers. So I cannot do this alone. So, but with God by my side and those he has impacted, so with God by my side and those he has impacted, I'm hoping, but with God by my side, who saved me from the daredevil kidnappers, and who has preserved me thus far, I believe myself and my wonderful children shall make him proud as he smiles over us that have come here today to honor him.